Welcome. You have now entered the cosmic radio receptors of KCIW 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon. Thank you for tuning into this week's fantastic, fabulous program of ours. I'm Dr. Gigi, and my co-host is, as always, Jacques Kepner. As of note, we are back from our one-week hiatus when we drove down to San Francisco to show off the city by the bay to my bestie and her daughter from Germany.
Right, Doctor. We did have fun, and we drove south. We stopped in our sister community radio station in Redway in Garberville, California, and got the full tour of KMUD.
K-Mud.
K-Mud has been around since 1997 or 94? 94. And it's a venerable Pacifica casting, successful community radio station.
Yeah, very
so it was an
nice
experience of that. So a big shout out to Kara, who gave us a full tour, and to all of the K-Mud family. All right, everyone, welcome to the Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show. I want to mention that you were hearing this live show on KCIW right here in Brookings, Oregon. That said, this same show will rebroadcast in exactly 1 week from now, each and every Wednesday on KZZH, 96.7 FM in Eureka, Humboldt, at 8 in the morning. And then a few hours later at my old alma mater, KFUG, 101.1 FM in Crescent City, California. So now you know.
At 1 p.m., right?
At 1 p.m. At 1 p.m. So now you know we have your coast covered. Okay. What medical marvel does my brilliant bilingual German physician, patent-holding scientist, and professor have for us today on your weekly segment, MDGG?
So, he points out that I'm bilingual. He has now started learning German online.
Yeah.
Cute, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, you said you mispronounced the word.
Hiatus?
Yeah, you mispronounced the word hiatus. I love pointing these little things out to you because
thank you.
Her English is better than mine.
All right. Today, we are going to talk about organ transplants. So we will get a first glimpse into the world of organ transplantation. We'll hear some fun stats and facts. And later on in some other shows, we're going to actually talk about which organs can be transplanted and how that's done. Okay. So first of all, of course, we want to know, what is an organ? Not everybody listens to every show and is up to date on this, right?
Right. You're going to tell us what an organ is. Okay, before I got to get it out because everybody's thinking the same thing. Is the things, that we have downstairs, are those considered organs?
You mean every man thinks the same thing? The testicles are organs.
The testicles are organs?
The ovaries are organs. The other thing belongs to the skin, but there are organs involved in as well, yes.
Wow. Okay, now everybody knows.
Yeah, because an organ is a conglomerate of different cell types that work together to accomplish a function.
Okay, thank you for that.
Like kidney, brain, skin, liver, lung, ovaries, testicles, etc.
Genitals. Yeah.
No, genitals is more an area.
Okay.
In 2024, over 48,000 organ transplants were performed in the U.S. alone.
Wait a minute. Over 48, that's nearly 50,000?
Yes. And 7,000 of those were done by living donors, and 17,000 were deceased donors, which is called now deceased donors. It was previously called cadaver donors, which doesn't sound as nice as deceased donors.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay, I could see that. Mm-hmm.
Over 100,000 people are currently on the National Transplant Waiting List.
Wow.
With a new person added every 8 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah, right?
A lot of people needing organs. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people need it, and not a lot of people get it. So an average of 16 people die each day while waiting for a transplant, assuming they're dying because they're not getting the transplant.
I have a very large organ. It's a Yamaha. It's a good quality one. Okay. How about people that die? I mean, a lot of people then die if there's that many people waiting.
Right. 16 people each day. You were so hung up on your little joke. You didn't hear me.
Sorry.
Very cute. The
Darn
wait
it.
times for specific organs vary. The kidneys having the longest waiting time, potentially 5 years or longer.
Is that because there's 2 kidneys?
No, because there are just so many people who need a kidney.
Oh, kidneys.
They need a kidney.
I have 1 1/3 kidney.
Yeah, you were lucky you didn't need a kidney transplant.
2/3 of my left kidney were taken out 25 years ago when I developed kidney cancer.
So living donors, it is possible to donate a kidney and still live a normal life because we have 2 kidneys, as you were saying. We have 2 kidneys. We can live with just 1 kidney. So if somebody in our family or somebody who matches with us genetically, we can donate a kidney.
Okay.
So kidneys are the most commonly transplanted organs, followed by livers, meaning parts of the liver, and hearts are number 3, believe it or not.
I've known 2 people in my life that have had heart transplants.
Really?
Yeah, and they were actually doing very well.
Yeah?
Yep.
Whoa. Now, those would be deceased donors, obviously.
Oh, yeah, because you can't live without a heart. Yeah.
Living donors can donate a kidney or a portion of a liver, as I said. They can also donate partial or a half a lung or partial pancreas. And deceased donors can provide multiple organs, obviously, right?
Wow. Do you have a little thing on your license, doctor, that says you are an organ donor?
Yes. So, I was going to put that on here, right? So, yes, in America, you can, on your driver's license, you can say, yes, red Y, you want to be a donor in case you're found dead in an accident, for example.
Yeah.
There are many other countries where the default is you are a donor, but you can opt out. So most European countries...
What's it like in Germany?
Germany was, I think you can opt out, but it was not on the list. It was everybody else basically on Europe, but I think in Germany as well, you can opt out not to donate, but
everybody
is a donor unless, they're saying they're not.
Yeah. All right.
Now, so one deceased donor can save up to 8 lives.
Wow.
Through organ donation and can enhance 70 other lives through tissue donation because tissue is different from organs. Tissues include bones, tendons, cornea.
Wow. Oh, the cornea. You talked about that in the eye a few weeks ago, right? When we talked
skin. You can donate skin, heart valves, nerves, which I didn't know, and veins.
Wow.
So globally, approximately 185,000, so that's worldwide, corneal transplants are performed annually, the cornea of your eye, with the United States performing about 40,000 of the tissues.
Wow. So we're the go-to donor country then, sort of, because...
No, it's 185 worldwide, and we're doing 40,000. 185,000, we're doing 40,000.
But that's a lot of countries involved.
Right,
so
and we might be. I don't have the statistics.
Right, okay.
Yeah, very cool, right? So the corneal transplant is the most common type of transplant surgery.
Well, let's leave this on a high note, and that is that 10,000 people die a day in the United States. Did you know that? That's a lot of people. Every day, 10,000 people.
You mean a high note as in a big number?
That's horrible. That was kind of a joke. It's kind of depressing. But that brings us to the point that when we're around our loved ones, tell them you love them, because you never know. Right. All right. Vielen Dank, Frau Dr. Gigi.
Bitte schön. Remember, he's starting to learn German. Cute.
Yeah. All right. Today on the Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show, we truly have a variety of guests in the studio, 3 to be exact. Kim Devine and John Zimmerman are both here making shorter but important and informative appearances. We will dive right into these good folks until mid-show when we turn our attention to today's headliner, Ray Martell, founder of Redwood Records and one badass bass player with a black GTO band. That said, welcome guest. Okay, ladies first.
Yes,
let's start off today with
welcome.
Yeah, let's start off with Kim Devine, who headlined one of our very first shows. You were there at the very beginning, right?
It was so much fun.
It was so much fun. Well, welcome back, Kim Devine. First off, Kim, how did you get so lucky to have a great name, Kim Devine? I mean, it's just such a good ring.
Well, I kind of married into it.
Okay. Okay, all right.
When he told me he would ask you that question, I thought he was kidding, but he was... He wanted to know.
I never joke, my dear.
It is a great name. I love it.
It's a great, great name. All right, Doc, lead off with a question.
So, Kim, tell us what Stage Lights is all about and what's the latest news regarding the Stage Lights?
Stage Lights Musical Arts Community is a 501c3. We've been in existence since 2009. And our mission was basically to bring music education and enrichment to our community. And we've done that time and time again. And I think that we've achieved our mission and have changed it a little bit as we've gone along to, reflect changes in the times. But we have come to a decision because our board is all of a certain age and we want to retire. So we're going to disband, and we are, unfortunately, that kind of changes the prospects for events and things in the coming year. We are having a sale of music equipment, most of which we don't use anymore anyway. I mean, we have a sound guy that does a great job, so we really haven't used a lot of the equipment. So anybody who is looking for more of the old school big speakers, mixers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we saw some of your ads on Facebook. I guess that's starting of it.
Yeah.
And of course you got Ray Martell over here who has a sound studio. Maybe the two of you should pair up.
Yeah.
So you started Stage Lights how many years ago?
2016 or 2009, so it was 16 years ago.
So this is your baby. You co-founded it with...
Yeah, I started it, and my co-chairs were Perry Devine and James Anderson, and the three of us got together and decided to do this, and it just was a beautiful adventure. So.
No, it's now disbanded. You're not. This is it. You're already on the being done side, or
yeah, I think everybody is pretty done. I'm looking to be done with paperwork and all that by May 1st. So.
Coming up here pretty soon. So when we talked to you last month at one of the art gallery walk around town, you mentioned to us that you wanted to make an announcement. So Stage Lights have been venerable here for 16 years.
Yes.
This kind of may be like losing a baby. I mean, this is your baby.
Yes,
right?
I have very mixed feelings about it.
Wow.
But I hope to put on some private events. We have some favorite musicians, Keith Greninger, who's down in Santa Cruz, and Dan Kai, who's over on Maui. I'd love to bring them over and have some private shows.
Right on. Bring them here. We'll interview them and give them some PR.
They would be great to interview. So.
Right.
Yeah, so I haven't given up music, and I'm singing with the Tony Land Band.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
So, that's going to be my main focus, that and writing and playing.
Right
and
well,
big shout
thank
out.
you for bringing out Stage Lights to this community for 16 years.
A big shout out to Tony Land and the
Land,
band,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
So you'll
Yep.
stay active with them. How about Kim's private or garden party still?
No, Kim's Garden Party is still in the works.
And what is it? What address is it?
It's 301 Oak Street.
Okay,
It's
right
the
up
old
across
nursery
from,
building.
across from Manly Art Center,
Correct,
across the street.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we've always known you as an earnest artist and a person that's into the arts, and so your presence will be heard. Have you thought about maybe someone would come in and swoop in and take up the reins of the Stage Lights? Or?
We've tried over the years. We normally have a board of 7, and it just seems like we haven't been able to maintain that, and so we're down to 4 people now.
Oh, wow.
It's hard for all of us to put on the kind of events that we normally do and love to do. And a couple of our members have some health issues, too, so that complicates things.
COVID didn't help anybody.
COVID didn't help anybody at all.
Yeah. Right. It took the wind out of the things. Okay, so personally, you just want to continue on with your world with singing with Tony and getting the good vibes out and participating in the art walks and having...
Absolutely.
Right on.
Yeah. And writing more songs. I need to focus on...
There you go.
On my own writing, too. So.
Okay, so if
Very
people
cool.
want to reach out to you and buy some of your equipment or look at it, what's the best route for them to do that?
Well, they can go on to our Facebook page,
Which is...
Stage Lights Musical Arts. And we also have a website, stagelights.us.
Musical Arts. First, Stage Lights Musical Arts. Okay, this one we checked out, and it's still viable. The website's
still
up.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do have a shop phone number, which is 541-412-7273.
That's 541
412-7273.
Okay, there you got it. Hope everybody has their pens.
And I'll be posting our next sale dates. We had a couple of sale days. The weather was frightful.
Yeah, right.
Right.
We got a few people coming in, and I have sold a few things. I do want to mention one thing. Our last big event of last year was the Heat the Grange fundraiser.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
How did that
And
go?
we raised over $7,000
Wow, cool.
for the Grange, and between the Grange getting matching donations from like the Head Grange and other places, I think that they did reach their
So they
goals.
were able to get a new heater.
Oh, the heater, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
The heater.
yeah, it was getting mighty cold in there.
Wow.
All right,
Very cool.
stagelightsmusical.org. No, .art.
Stagelights.us.
Okay, stagelights.us
Yeah.
It might be the best way. Or 541-412-7273. Yeah, well, congratulations on a job well
And
done.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
There's going to be a vacuum left. So
Yeah.
maybe some new, younger blood will come in and pick it up and say, let's carry it
Yeah.
on. Or
Well, we hope to see Tricia at Harmony and Me.
yes.
Pursue a lot of what we've been doing. She kind of has the same mission. And also Sky Marie at Wild Rivers Conservatory of Dance. Those are the two that we support. And, it's possible there are some others out there that we can, could add energy to. So.
Okay. All right. It's Kim Devine here. Thank you so much, Kim. And
Thank you both.
please keep us tuned in with what's going on next in your community, here in our community. You'll be missed, but we'll see you around.
Oh,
We'll see. We can't
certainly
wait.
will.
Okay. All right. We're gonna have a switch out between Kim and John Zimmerman, who's up next. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and just give a quick thank you to our major supporters of community radio, and those major supporters are Advanced Airlines, flying in and out of nearby Crescent City to Oakland and LA 7 days a week. Marie and Brett Curtis, our next door neighbors at Remax Coast and Country Realty. Dr. John Kirk's Port-au-Prince Craft Brewery, now with 2 locations in Crescent City. Michelle Bupert with our vibrant local Curry County Chamber of Commerce. Jim Doc Bellardi and his Crescent Land Title and Escrow Company. Dan and Phyllis Schmidt, and thank you for your constant friendly support. And then the reimagined Crescent Harbor Art Gallery in Crescent City, which is having their big art show this Saturday,
Yes.
April 5th, from 6 to 8. Come down to the harbor, and it's 501c3. It's a great art gallery, and they're having a great reception. And come on down on this Saturday, April 5th. All right. We still have that one left, which was the Tsunami Lanes.
Yes.
Which is our only bowling center here in this entire area. They are located right on 101 in Midtown Crescent City. We have more major supporters, which I'll get back to you after we have a conversation with our second guest today. He is an intriguing man. He's become a friend of ours. He's on a mission of preserving something great and iconic along our coastal shores. So with a drum roll, please. There we go. Welcome, John Zimmerman, who is the president of the St. George Reef Lighthouse Preservation Society. Welcome back, John.
Thank you.
Good to
Yes,
see you.
welcome. Yeah,
Always.
good to see you. This is the third time, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You've been on
Right.
a cameo a couple times. Yeah, a couple.
And,
but
very first, the second show, right? I think you
I
were
believe
on.
so.
I think, or the first or second. That's
Yeah, right.
John
Very
Zimmerman.
nice.
Hey, a
See
shout
you.
out to our super duper wizards in the engineering room, Ray Simon and Tom Bozak. Thank you, both of you, for doing this. And our guests who are out here visiting from Illinois. We got Diana and Bruce visiting. Welcome. Sitting in the gallery. Peace and love to you. And Donna in the background. All right. Okay, you lead off with the questions for John. Please.
Okay, John, tell our listeners your position and what your organization's mission is all about.
Well, I'm the president of the St. George Reef Lighthouse Preservation Society and have been since 2022. Guy Towers was the first president and was the founder of the organization and began in 1986. Our mission basically is to preserve and make available to the public access to St. George Reef Lighthouse.
Right.
Right.
Now, we saw it today very nicely. It's, I don't know, 8 to 10 miles out on the shore, and it is beautiful. Now, why was the lighthouse necessary in the first place, besides us being able to look at it?
Well, a number of shipwrecks along the coast, particularly near Crescent City. The steamer Brother Jonathan was wrecked in 1865 with the loss of over 200 lives.
1865, 200 people drowned off the coast. Wow.
Plus,
Wow.
and lost a lot of gold, too, which is, some of it's been retrieved. But St. George is one of many lighthouses that were built along the coast that once you, when you're going up the coast on a steamer, once you lose sight of one beacon, then you would see another. So they're there to mark an obstruction, show a safe harbor, but also to let you know where you are along the coast.
Right.
Yeah, very cool. Dang. When did the construction begin and when did it end?
They took the first soundings in 1882, and the light was switched on in 1892.
10 years.
And the construction was over a 10-year period.
10 years in building the lighthouse.
Yeah,
Wow.
$750,000. It was
Back
the most
then.
expensive lighthouse built in the country.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do remember our questions that we had when you were here first time. Where are the most lighthouses found?
Yeah. What state? Okay,
What's-
everybody out there.
yeah.
What state has the most lighthouses? Anybody? How about you, Diana or Bruce? Do you have any guess? What state might have the most lighthouses? Right. You'd think it would be New England or up in Washington.
Maine?
Maine, pretty good. But John Zimmerman, tell us what state by far has the most lighthouses.
Nebraska.
All right, give us the real shape.
Michigan.
Michigan,
because of the Great Lakes. So there you go. You should have known that from Illinois area. Yeah, okay. He's shrugging his arms. Going, oh, well, now I know. We're always learning something.
How tall is that lighthouse out there?
146.
146, but that sits on top of a caisson, does it not?
Yeah, the caissons are roughly 70 feet high, and the lighthouse is another 74 feet high.
So it is 150-ish feet.
Yeah, if you go to the dome, it's probably 160 feet. But most lighthouses are measured where the center of the lens that's in the lantern room, they call that the focal plane, and that's usually what they use as far as the measures how tall a lighthouse is. the
So
focal plane.
15 stories high, basically off the ocean.
And
Yes.
what is it made out of? 15 stories high or the 75 feet?
Granite
Granite? How did it get there?
by ship. Then I think the count was 1,449 pieces of granite to build the lighthouse.
What?
14.
And some of them are how heavy?
17 tons.
Oh my goodness! This is on the level with the pyramids.
Pretty
right?
much.
I mean, wow.
You needed more than a fishing boat to lug that one over.
Yeah, and this was all done before they had any kind of. They just had to do it all by ship, bring it in. There was nothing. And what happens on a busy, real violent sea? They just wouldn't go out, I guess, with that kind of weight.
Yeah, they probably the time it took to build the lighthouse was probably 4 years, but because of where it is and how hard it is to access and the funding from Congress, that's why it took 10 years to build
Wow.
Yeah, you could only go out there 5-6 months a year
or less.
or less.
Or less, yeah. So it
Dang.
took a long time, and it was the most expensive project in the world. Let's tell us real quickly. I love the story. Listen to this, everybody. What's the highest wave that ever smashed into that edifice out there?
Well, they've had several times that it's gone over the top of the lighthouse and knocked out lantern panes. In fact, I just recently interviewed a 92-year-old man in Washington who was stationed out there.
What's his name?
Floyd Sheldon. He's was out there in 1952. He was 20 years old, and they had a storm that was so bad they couldn't set foot outside the building for 3 weeks.
What?
They got cut off from all supply access for 3 to 4 weeks.
Dang.
And they were down eating pancakes and coffee. There was nothing else in the lighthouse to eat.
Wow.
And he said the water was running down the granite steps like a waterfall. He said the whole building would just shake when the.
But you just said it was 150 feet tall, so that means waves were going over the top. Okay, folks, I think Oregon has the record for the highest waves in the world. I mean, that's amazing.
Well,
Right.
and you keep in mind that's not spray. That's waves, not
That's
spray.
waves. Yeah, and it broke through the panes, and wow.
That's international. That's
I always like to
that's
drink
California.
my coffee, but I guess they were eating it, like you said. You said they were eating coffee and pancakes.
Yeah, that's all they had.
All right. How far offshore is this?
It's 6.5 miles offshore from Crescent City, the Point St. George, but from the port of Crescent City is about 13 miles.
And from here, we see it quite clearly in the Brookings area.
About 20 miles.
About 20 miles. So the best place to go view it from is the Battery Point, right? They're kind of near the airport at Crescent City.
Yeah, or Point St. George, near the airport. You can go out there and you get a great view of it from there.
You know, I think on the road here, up here to Brookings, that's where we see it really the nicest. I hardly ever see it, or it doesn't seem closer down Battery Point. It doesn't seem, do you feel that?
You have to know where to look.
Oh,
yeah. You have to know where to look. But Point St. George is just north of Battery Point, and then the other place is Chuckle Point or Harris Beach. You can see it from there.
You're right. That's where you can see it.
When was
nicely.
the lighthouse modernized?
It was never really modernized. It was the last manned lighthouse on the coast. It was manned until they discontinued it in 1975.
Okay.
Oh, very nice.
1975, that was basically decommissioned. Everybody left, and it was gone. Okay, we only have a few minutes more left, but...
do you still have helicopter trips planned out there?
We are hoping to do that this fall. It's all about money, but we're hoping to get a work crew together and get out there and have at least a one-day tour. We have the consultant gave us a figure as to what he estimated it cost to restore it, so now we're working on grants.
Okay.
If you know anybody that's got $10 million,
we do. Well, have you met Mike Bear? We're gonna have Mike Bear on the show. Mike Bear is a grant writing expert. He's the one that's helped the harbor.
Love to talk to him.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put you in touch with him. He's a very interesting guy. Nice, very affable guy.
Are there any upcoming events from you or from the society?
Yes, this summer we will have a booth at the Independence Day event in Crescent City on July 4.
Good.
And we have all of our information there. Always interested in getting people involved. We do have a newsletter that we email out to our members.
Yeah.
And so if you want to get online or on the Facebook page,
Tell us that, because that's the next question. How do people reach out to you?
St. George Reef Lighthouse Preservation Society.
St.
That is a long
George
word.
Reef Lighthouse
Preservation Society.
Okay.
On Facebook, or you can go stgeorgereeflight.org, and it's spelled in full.
Okay, stgeorgereef.org.
Light.
Yeah, St. George
Reef.light.
Reef.
St. George Reef Light.org.
All
Yes.
right, Reef Light. Okay. Any phone numbers, anything like that you want to give out?
Yes, 707
707
273
273
1905.
1905.
And you can also ask questions either on our Facebook page or website, or you can call that number. You'll probably get me, and I'll answer the questions.
Cool. Great guy to
Very
know,
cool.
everybody. He's a very affable, amicable guy. John Zimmerman, thank you for coming in and filling us in on what is going on with the latest with the St. George Reef Lighthouse. We wish you the best. You're always looking for volunteers.
Absolutely.
You can reach out to you by calling the 707-273-1905. And what a noble, great thing to get involved in.
Right.
Well, thank
Great
you for
cause.
your support. I mean, what you do for us is really important.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We're more than happy to pass on a good 501c3 foundation,
Yes,
a
and
noble
thanks for
foundation.
coming in
like it
for
is.
that. It's really cool to always
All
hear
right.
about it.
And thank you so much for correctly calling out Nebraska.
Only at a high time.
Right, there you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so, all right, let's get. Now, as John transitions out of the studio, I wish to mention that the last of our major supporters that make this community radio so viable and important to our coastal communities is the Nick and Rail, Lisa Rail, bringing to our region the $50 million event center to be known as the PPA, or Partnership for the Performing Arts. The medical team of Dr. J, Dr. Pollack, and Rashida Patel at Chetco, medical anesthetics here in Harbor Brookings. And lastly, my dear co-host, Dr. Gigi Reed, MD, and yours truly, Jacques Kepner, on behalf of KCIW 100.7 FM. Thanks to all of you. Okay, let's get another drum roll going. We got a few minutes to break into our next guest because today's headliner is another all-around good guy that Dr. Gigi and I have learned to love. Well, we've come to learn this very talented and mellow man with a great outlook on life. So without further verbiage from me, let's go right into this conversation with none other than Ray Martell. Ray, welcome.
Well, thank you, Doc and Jacques. A pleasure to be here. I'm so happy.
All right. Thank you for coming in.
I bring some gifts.
Thank
you brought us some little stickers here.
And I want to say for everybody, this is KCRW 100.7 FM in Brookings.
All right. That's our mid-show break.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
thank you
go
for that.
ahead.
All right.
Ooh,
Ray, thank you for this very much.
Redwood Recordings, Crescent City. All right.
Right on.
So I brought them some stickers. Anyways, how you guys doing today?
Good. We're doing good. Thank you for
coming
listening in.
Oh,
Yeah. You are a headliner. We got the next 28 minutes or so
All right.
with you to hang out and find out all about you.
Yes.
Pick
Tell
my
us,
brain.
where are you born? Where were you born and raised?
I was actually born in San Jose, California, raised in the Bay Area. Went to high school there. Obviously, I was a musician from early on.
Yeah.
I picked up my first guitar when I was about 6, 7, 8 years old, influenced from my uncle, who's also a musician.
Nice.
I really learned a lot of the old school type music. So I was really into the 70s.
Right.
I actually really became a big fan of the progressive rock. I never really got into the top 40 type of stuff. So I was always into the more intricate kind of music. That I kind of gravitated that way.
How about Ray? Pardon me. What was his name? The guy. No, I can't think of his name. Okay, keep going. Apologize.
On that
There's
note.
one guy that I do not like. He was so popular. He was a huge guy in the 70s. Now I can't think of his name.
So
my
anyways,
goodness.
in high school, I took music classes. I learned what I could, played in bands, and just really enjoyed music at that time. Went to college, went to Humboldt.
Really?
Yeah?
So
What
that's
did
what
you study?
brought you
So
up this area?
I'm actually a
Eureka?
microbiologist by.
Really?
Yes.
All right. I'm a
Hey,
biologist. biochemist.
KZZH carries this show. We'll be listening to this, and they're
Yeah.
Humboldt, Eureka.
Yes. So I graduated with microbiology, Humboldt State at the time.
Right on.
Good.
And I was really involved with KHSU. I was a DJ on KHSU.
Oh, cool.
I was actually taking a lot of broadcasting courses on the side and a lot of music and courses in editing, tape, recording, and that type of stuff. So I really got into it back then. I met some people at that time who were fellow musicians, and I met them by way of the airwaves. I'd be playing some obscure progressive rock, and they'd call me up and going, "How do you know about that band?" I'm like, because I'm a geek. I don't know. So anyways, we ended up getting together, and I ended up getting in becoming a bass player in a band for a couple of bands down in Eureka at that time. And we were playing some progressive rock and doing some weird stuff. But at the same time, we were delving into recording at that time.
Wow.
And but
so you started recording,
at that time,
experiencing then? Oh, cool.
yeah,
Very
it was
cool.
it was the college days because
Yeah.
I was going in the radio station. I was learning how to cut tape and edit and make carts and do all that type of stuff, and I applied our music to that type of stuff. So we just start doing those types of recordings.
Cool.
Graduated college, moved on, got a life, was doing some stuff.
Moved to the Bay, back to the Bay.
Well, no, I was out of the Bay Area by then. Actually,
Okay.
I was in Las Vegas for about 7 years.
Wow.
And then I ended up back in Crescent City eventually.
Right on. Oh, I thought of the guy, Peter Frampton.
Oh, yeah.
But I was never a big fan of Peter Frampton. I was just like, oh, okay, he's so. Boy, he was such a big
Yeah.
So you are here, actually, Ray. You are here for the Redwood Records for a recording studio. But do you also have another job?
I work. I have a full-time job out the prison.
What do you
Pelican
do?
Bay Prison.
Pelican
okay.
Bay, yes. So
Big employer, a little
Yeah.
city within a city.
Very
right?
cool.
it is a city within a city.
And what do you do there?
I work in the intake and outgoings of inmates. Basically, is basically what I do. I work in the
And parole and
paroles office
Good for
and
you.
classification. So we bring guys in, we send them out, we get them going to where they need to be.
Very
Right on.
cool. That is all.
We had one of the assistant wardens on the show And I was told, I always heard that Pelican Bay it didn't have a revolving door. Once you go into Pelican Bay, you're there, but that's not true.
Not anymore. It was at one time.
Yeah?
But the state of California has changed their model in how they see rehabilitation. So getting them out, moving them around, getting them programs, getting them education, that's part of the rehabilitation.
Well, I'll be darned.
Very cool.
Sounds-
Okay, so microbiology did not quite pan out. Recording did.
No, microbiology panned out great for me.
Oh, it did?
I loved working in laboratories. I loved being a scientist. That was my passion.
Yeah.
Was working in the labs. I did a lot of immunofluorescent type of diagnostics.
Gigi's having a little like, ooh, that's me. That's my world. I've never even luminescence.
Yeah.
Immunofluorescence.
Immunofluorescence.
We got to talk.
My specialty was parasitology. So I was really.
Heck is that? Parasitology?
Ow.
It's a study of Paris. No? Darn it! Missed it again.
Very
Darn it.
cool. Very
Sorry.
cool.
Anyways, but alas, the life in Las Vegas was not conducive to a family life. My son Nick was born in Las Vegas.
Right on.
All right.
We love.
So we decided to move
shout
back
out to Nick.
We decided to move back to Crescent City, to where Nick's mom's family is. So we had a whole village to be able to help us raise our kids. My second child, Holly, was born in Crescent City. She's actually the one that came up with the name for Redwood Record Studios.
Dang.
Yeah, I still have the misspelled placard above my door in the studio.
Oh, that's
Wow.
cute.
Yeah.
And
So-
that's Reedwood or something.
Redwood Records. Anyways, that's I love it. So Redwood Records started in 2015, so it's been 10 years now, and I didn't think it was that long. And I look back at it, I was in a band at that time. I was a local band called Border Coast, and that band we actually were playing. Believe it or not, we were doing hard rock Christian type songs, and we were going to like the churches.
Yeah.
And we were actually like playing for churches,
Right on.
just as like a service and support for different churches.
What years was this?
Oh, 13, 14, 15,
Yeah.
right around there.
Okay.
And then
It's real popular now, right? So many churches have bands.
yeah, that it is. So we were doing that, but we were just doing it as donations. We were doing it because we wanted to. We wanted to just do something that was.
Did you write original music?
Well, and this is where Redwood Records came in. So our guitar player at the time, his name was Phil Loney. He wrote a couple of original tunes, and I really wanted to get them recorded.
Yeah.
There's no recording studios around here.
There weren't.
They
or there,
weren't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore. So the nearest ones were like either in Grants Pass or in Eureka.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna start a recording studio,
Just like that.
just
huh?
like that.
Wow. Now you were in the band and you're playing an instrument. What do you play?
I play bass primarily.
And what bands have you played with?
Badass bass player.
No, thank you.
You played in the church rock group.
Yeah, it was called Border Coast, but we also had an alter ego. We also just played we just played rock tunes for festivals and parties and dances, when you guys come to see the other bands.
Yeah.
Another band I was in was called Shack Nasty.
Wait a minute. Shack Nasty. That's a local band, right?
It was. We were a local band. Actually, they had their foundations back in Humboldt in the 90s, but we continued on.
Shack Nasty.
And then I have a couple of side projects. One was called Dark Child. But the one band of note that I'm primarily in, that I focus on primarily, is Black GTO.
Black GTO.
Black GTO,
Yeah, that's our Black GTO. Who are your bandmates?
So I got my son Nicholas Martell, and then we got Vince Dana on guitars and vocals.
Yeah.
And then our drummer is Greg Johnson, who's also been taking the vocal lead a lot.
Right on.
Right.
And he's been in the studio here. Same with Vince Dana. The three of you have been in. We had a great show.
Yeah. So I started let me back up a little bit. So back in 15, 16, when I started the recording studio, one of the reasons why I decided to go forth with it was my wife, Rita.
Hey, Rita, what's going on?
Her cousin's name is Dennis Weinrich. Well, that's not a name anybody knows.
What a name, though.
Right. But,
Weinrich.
Yeah, but he's been a recording engineer since the early 70s at Trident Studios in London.
Ooh.
So he's recorded the likes of Supertramp, Michael Jackson, Jeff Beck,
A lot of the big names.
Queen. He's done all the big names. So he has so graciously in the beginning, and he still does. He took me under his wing, and he listens to my stuff, and he'll give me a paragraph of suggestions that's 50 years worth of experience.
Wow.
Cool.
So I just owe so much to him.
Wow.
Very nice.
And so I've really been able to hone my skill in very, very well lately.
Now, how did you start getting those instruments? You had them in college, but did you just appropriate one thing after another, or did you take somebody's recording studio over? How did you do it?
As far as
You need the boards and
well,
The equipment.
the equipment.
well, I'm tell you what, I started off with a laptop,
Oh, cool.
and then just upgrade.
Oh,
I use gig money when we get paid for gigs,
Yeah.
or studio money. I just keep reinvesting into my studio all the time, always
Very
upgrading, always getting new gear.
Right on. Okay, I got a question. Back it up onto the music that you play with these bands. Do you read music? 75% of our guests, the musicians, do not.
Do not.
Do you?
So I do read music.
Whoa.
Now, I don't sight read music and play, though.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that really interested me back in when I was in school, I read to read music to play song flute or whatever instrument I was in band class in high school, junior high. So yeah, I had to learn the simple rudimentary sight reading. But when it came to the more complex music, I started back in the day. We had chord charts and tabs, which are actually more popular now. Music. So as far as reading music goes, I used to actually relish in studying music. So I took a lot of theory classes.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And one of my most favorite types of music to study was classical music. So I was taking a lot of classical theory classes. I just love the way the music moves in classical music. So I would be studying these theory classes on here's the chords. This is how they move. This is how they resolve. Here's how they modulate. So when it comes to reading music, it was more about studying on the movement of classical music.
Now, do you use that knowledge in making your own music, I guess?
Absolutely, yes. I have. A lot of people say, "Yeah, no rules when you're making music," and that's true. There is no rules. However, I like to have a foundation on where to start with something. So I use circle of fifths, and I'll say, okay, what's the next logical chord progression? If I go here, where am I going to go there? If I'm in this minor key, or if I'm in this diminished key, where's this music going to move to? When I write music, that's the way I think about it. And not to sound weird about this, but I actually approach music kind of more from a darker, more ominous type of perspective. I like the dark, heavy swells and like the dark movements that happen, like you hear in a lot of old classical classical music.
Wow. So what was one of your bands? Dark Child? Dark Child
was one of my bands.
That didn't go over with the Christian community too well, though.
Well, we were not satanic,
right?
But it was definitely came from a. So there was a movie movement that happened in the 70s out of Italy, and it was called Giada music, or movies. They're called Giada, and a lot of the music that went along with these horror movies were really dark, organ-filled, almost like Phantom of the Opera-esque type
like
stuff.
Kidneys and livers and things like organ-filled.
No. Just like your big Yamaha organ.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I got a big.
So a lot of that type of music from that 70s was just really dark and just almost went along with like the horror movie type.
Wow.
So it's like that really heavy feel, that really heavy movement in the progression in like a really dark ways that the music moves. Wow. That's what influenced me to when I put together that Dark Child band. So we lasted one album, but like any good thing, most things
lasted 1 hour.
One album.
Sorry.
1 hour.
one album, and
I
then,
can joke
we
with you.
moved
You
on.
can-
We went on our own different ways. But currently I'm just bass guy with Black GTO.
Cool, cool. Now, I just got on our ear prompts here. Tom Bozak just announced that Ray Simon has left the studio because he's running off to change his name to Red Weinrich. What a great name. Hi, my name's Red Weinrich. Yeah, he likes red wine. Donna does too. Oh, God. Okay, right on. So you are the actual president, founder of Redwood Records.
I am. I guess I'm the CEO. My wife and I both own the company because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had the idea and I wouldn't have had the motivation to do it.
Okay, I was going to say, why did you want to open up recording? You just something you naturally fell into. Obviously, you've been doing it for a long time.
I have. Well, like I said, so I wanted to record some songs with original songs with the band back from 14 and 15.
Yeah.
I got a laptop and I just started messing around.
Yeah.
And then I have a laptop. What more do I need? I need this gear. I need that gear. And now over a decade, I've accumulated some nice gear that I can do some really high quality recordings with.
Right on. We've heard it's a great recording studio. Where is it located?
We're in Crescent City.
Okay.
So if you want to find out where I am, you can look me up. Redwood Record Studios on Facebook.
Okay, Redwood Records Studios
On
on
Facebook.
Facebook. Okay.
Right. I have a website which hasn't been updated in a while.
Okay. What is it?
It's so old that I have hair in it.
Okay, wait a minute. So old.
No, No, it's actually redwoodrecords.net. One word. Redwoodrecords.net.
Okay. .net.
NET, yeah.
Okay.
And
Any
you
phone
have
number?
other-
You have a phone
Yeah,
number?
you can call me 707
707
460
460
3248.
No, you're offering it now for bands.
So yeah, I do. Well, not just bands. I actually, you'll be surprised on what's come through the studio over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are
tell us.
some of our questions.
So we have one of my favoriteest things is around Christmas time every year, I get a call or two saying, "Hey, I wrote a song for my spouse, or I wrote a song for my child. I want to sing some songs for my grandma, some traditional." This one, no lie, this lady came in. She wanted to sing some traditional German Christmas songs
Really?
and put it on a CD as a gift
How
for
cool is
her grandma.
Ah, cute.
So I love when these people come in and they trust me
Yeah.
for them to give them a product that they can share with their world,
Yeah.
and they're proud of it. I think for me, the best thing is when I have an artist come in, whether it's a solo artist or a band, and after I've done my magic, the playback, I love the looks on their faces, and they're like, "That's us,"
Right.
or "That's me."
How about Jordan Branch?
Jordan Branch was an amazing artist to work
Right.
with. Love working with her. She came in. She's got some great songs. She's got great energy, great vibe.
She was here 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Great
I
show.
listened to that show. It was a good show.
Yeah. Thank you.
She came to the she hit me up. She goes, "Hey, I got some songs I want to record," and she came in and she did her first batch of songs. She came to me on actually 3 different times, but the last time that she came in, she trusted me to take her songs and bring in Greg Johnson as a hired studio drummer.
Okay.
I played bass at no additional cost to what the studio cost was. And she trusted me to produce her music.
Wow.
And when
You played guitar. You played bass.
I
Greg
played
was on.
I just did the bass, but there's a lot of production that goes in behind the scenes. It's
Sure.
like, you want to, okay, someone says, "Here's my song." And I hear the song, and I've been blessed with a ability to like actually hear a finished product in my head before we even start.
Very cool.
And I'll say, "Okay, we should have some organ here. We should have the drums doing this here.
Yeah.
How about the bass line goes like that? How about we have a break here?" So I actually hear all that in my head as a finished product before we even start the project. When I just heard,
So she did go, or somebody can go, and she does play the guitar herself, and then she sings, and so then you guys don't have to all play together. You just have then in the aftermath the drumming coming in and the guitar, your bass guitar. Is that how it goes?
Well, so what we do is with Jordan is that we practice. We rehearsed her songs together, all of us together.
Yeah.
When we were confident that we had, we knew how the song went and how it felt. We actually did what's called a room recording or a scratch recording. So we just do a really low quality recording of the room of us playing that song, and then we listen back to it. Make sure the timing's good. Make sure there's nothing out of whack. Make sure that everything is the format that we want. So now, if you imagine that would be the base layer or like the cardboard at the bottom of a cake. We go back then, the drummer. The very first thing I always do is the kick drum. The kick drum is the most important part of any recording session when we're using a band with drums.
Really?
Yeah. So I start with the kick drum, and then we'll put the microphones on the drums. Depending on the project, it can be anywhere from three microphones. The last Black GTO album, I actually had 13 microphones on Greg's drums.
Wow.
13 microphones.
Wow.
So anyways, we do a playback. Greg plays along to the song, and then he does as many takes until he feels that it's appropriate. And then I'll do my bass part on top of the drums. And then Jordan will come and do her guitar part. Then she'll come and do her vocal part on top of it.
Huge voice.
She's got a great voice.
Huge voice.
Yeah.
We were scrambling. I think the engineers were scrambling when she was in here because she let go. She has that voice.
When she lets go. So that was one of the challenges is when you have somebody with that powerful of a voice or that much dynamics in their voice, how do you capture them so that you get all the subtle nuances when they're not speaking or singing loud, but then they built into something hard.
Okay, so what's the cost? What's a day of a studio worker? Tell me, is it all over the place?
It just depends. So I'll tell you this: my flat rate is $50 an hour.
Okay.
$50 an hour.
Wow.
That's to come in the studio, work me, do what we got to do.
It's very reasonable.
It's very reasonable. One of my catch tags is high quality audio recordings for musicians on a budget.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I never try to gouge anybody. I just want to have a service where people can have an outlet so they can be able to share their creativity, share their art, share what they have.
We've heard about you. We've heard just that you'll work with the musicians. Totally.
Absolutely, I will.
Okay, and you produce records. Do they still produce these vinyls? Or all CDs.
Yeah, so what I do is I actually will produce the files that we can go ahead and then order, send off to the files to a print company to make CDs or to make vinyl albums. But most people actually are just posting online now, or Spotify, YouTube, Pandora.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I make sure that my finished product actually meets the specifications for the online streaming. Or versus if they're going to do vinyl, then I have a different specifications for vinyls, different mixes for audio or for digital CDs. There's different ways to mix things and have different types of outputs on them. So it's really important that you make sure that when I have a finished product, that it's going to it's going to represent the band properly in the format.
So you have all the different recordings or different, and then for the CD or for the Spotify or wherever, you have to actually remix them together so they fit.
Yeah. So when I my last album with Black GTO, we have a CD version and we have a vinyl version.
Yeah, we got one of those records.
And the mixes are actually different. So even though when you listen to them back, it's the same songs, you have to do different mixes because vinyl has different properties on how it reproduces music versus digital.
Wow. What are some of the bands that have come through and used your facilities?
Well,
Black GTO.
Black GTO, Shaq Nasty, Dark Child, of course. I've had Monogroove come through
Monogroove,
there.
Ren Lennon and Michael George, super talented people.
Yeah, those great people. It wasn't that rendition of the band. It was an older rendition of the band. Still had a great time. The Kings came in there. I've had the Spence Brothers come in there.
Right on, the Spence Brothers fairly recently,
right? Jordan, of course. And I just get so many one-off, like I was talking about. I have a Christmas song I wrote for my wife.
Wow.
recently, one of the things I've always promised is like, if kids want to come in, I don't charge them, and I help them out.
Right on.
Very
Yeah.
good.
So I just had 2 great high schoolers come in over the weekend.
All right, kids.
Yeah.
You hear this? Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Ray
came
Martell.
in, and it started off funny because first it was I got an email from a teacher at Sunset High School, a substitute music teacher, saying, "Hey, a friend of mine says you repair musical instruments." I'm like, "Yeah, what do you got?" So I went and I collected her stuff. I fixed it for the school, no charge. I don't, you know what? It's for a school. I don't
Right.
care. I donate instruments to schools. I do stuff for the kids. Because they are the ones that are going to benefit from them in the long run.
Right on.
Right.
So I had these 2 great guys come in over the weekend. They recorded 2 songs, and it was so cool because they're 18, 17, or 18 years old. They come into the studio. They have no idea what to do. They don't know what's going
so
on.
they need experts of advice like yourself.
Right, and then so they have a song, but they've never really like figured out how to make it work together. And by the end of the day, they had a product that they learned to work together. But more importantly, I was like telling them, you guys need to learn how to non-verbally communicate. And I showed them those tricks and how to do things. Man, you would think they've been playing for years together
Wow.
by the time they
How
came out of
good
the
of a
studio.
story is that?
And
Cool.
then they walk out with their product.
Very
Right on.
nice.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we have been talking with Ray Martell. Man, time goes flying. We've been at 28 minutes now, and we've been talking with Ray Martell, the owner and the founder of Redwood Records in the Crescent City area, our coast. You can reach him at calling 707-460-3248. You can also go to redwoodrecords.net, which you said is an old...
It's an old site, but it's still relevant.
there, okay, and then Redwood Records Studios or that's the
just
Facebook.
Facebook.
On
It's
Facebook.
Redwood Record Studios.
Yeah, when is Black GTO? When are you playing with Black GTO?
Next
Coming
Black
up?
GTO gig is going to be this Friday the 4th.
Enoteca?
No, we're going to be at Checo Brewery.
Oh, let's support you. Okay,
Yeah,
that
so we're going to be
sounds good.
playing 6 to 8. We're
Okay.
going to be
That's right. Community radio. We don't send our support to anybody. Okay, good. Well, just
That
we'd
sounds-
love to hear you again. We always enjoy Black GTO. You guys are a hard driving rock band, and you are an exemplary, a very good bass player, and a great guy. You're great. You got a great attitude. Everybody likes your smile. A great smile up there, Ray.
I appreciate that.
We appreciate you coming in today.
Well, I appreciate
Thank
you guys
you.
having
Very
me.
cool.
All right.
Really, seriously, you guys do a lot for this community. You
Thank
guys really just keep a lot of us tied together, and
Right on.
I appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very
we're
much.
there for you, man.
And it's always nice to see you guys out there
All right.
dancing.
We dance. All right, folks. We are at that point. Thanks to Ray Martell, John Zimmerman, and Kim Devine on this show. We are next into what?
Fun Time Corner.
Okay, you only got a few quotes. I got a bunch
I only
of...
have a few because we knew we would run out. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So they're all organ donation
What's your...
related. You are a piece of the puzzle of someone else's life once you give an
Oh,
organ.
I see. You are the piece of someone else's life. Okay, if you give...
Very
okay,
cute,
what's the
right?
best way to make antifreeze?
What?
Take away her blanket.
Auntie.
What do you call a pelican that can't fly? You should know this. A pelican. Okay, my late friend was such an incredible grief counselor that when he died, no one missed him.
Nobody grieved him?
No. Okay, that one, boom, that one crashed.
All right.
All right.
The measure of life is not its duration, but its donation.
Wow, not duration, but donation.
Right.
I
Cool,
told Dr. Gigi to openly embrace her mistakes. So she gave me a hug.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, Dr. Gigi says that I have a tendency to be vengeful. No, we'll just see about that. One more, Doc.
Don't take your organs with you to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here.
Don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here. So very, very true. Recently, I told my psychiatrist that I've been hearing voices. He told me that I don't have a psychiatrist. Are we at about that point? Are we early?
Nope, we can listen for another 2 jokes of yours.
Okay, just so you know, I breathe oxygen during the day and nitrogen during the night.
Yeah, I still didn't get it.
You don't get that
Supposed
one?
to be funny.
Okay.
Nobody laughs. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Sorry.
So.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I think that's it.
All right, so then we're wrapping it up.
Right.
You are at the end of our show with Kim Devine, John Zimmerman, and Ray Martell. You have been listening to the Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show on KCIW 100.7 FM in Brookings,
and the whole
Oregon.
coast, actually. We're on the whole coast, yeah.
Yeah, we hope you have enjoyed our show as much as we certainly have.
Yeah, and we want to thank Tom Bozak and Red Wine Rich, otherwise known as Ray Simon. Thank you for listening, folks. If you want to get a hold of us, reach out to us by going to docandjacques@gmail.com. Hey, listen up for Tony Dorso right next.
Yes.
Right now. Peace and love, everybody.
Goodbye.
Be safe. Bye-bye.